As that tape is playing, all I'm thinking is if the Soviets had won that hockey game in 1980, that's probably Mike or maybe Dan Hicks' voice in that tape. But thank you, Alfalfa, and thank you, Rachel, for producing that beautiful video. Well, first things first, to my beautiful bride of 35 and a half years, Katrina. And to Sarah and Reed, thank you. Like many, you've spent too many weekends, holidays, and birthdays with Dad away, but never failed to welcome me back with hugs and kisses. I love you all, and humbly accept this honor on our behalf. My sister Pam was hoping to be here tonight, but after being limited all week in practice, she was downgraded to out with a knee replacement. We hope to have her back by the playoffs. Growing up in nearby Elizabeth, New Jersey, sports became my overwhelming passion. Luckily, my parents, Ruth and Saul, who are a different Ruth and Saul than you've been reading about for the last 2,000 years, became fully supportive of my desire to make sports my livelihood. But it did take time. In a scene quite unusual for a Jewish household, my mom would stand outside my room in the evening chirping, "Drew, study hard and you can someday become a doctor." All along, I thought she was saying, "Drew, study hard and someday you can become a director." My bad, Mom, it won't happen again. And my parents also failed to realize that after 7 p.m., I only paid attention to one voice, Marv Alberts. On January 10th, 1983, I started my full-time TV career in bucolic Bristol at ESPN. It was the perfect job for any 25-year-old. For $10,290 a year, you got to work until 3:30 in the morning. And then, on 4 hours sleep, get up to play in the Hartford Morning Softball League on a team named Blue Lunch. Now, what could be better than that? Bill Fitz and Scotty Connell, with Steve Anderson, Terry Lingner, and Jed Drake to follow, created an atmosphere where free thinking and risk-taking led to opportunity and advancement. Getting to work with the likes of Chris B., Bobby Lee, Dickie V., and a host of others, both in front of and behind the camera, made those 7.5 years the perfect start to a career now approaching its 40th anniversary. In the summer of 1990, I took a still-developing skill set to ABC Sports. Dennis Swanson, Jeff Mason, Denny Lewin, Jack O'Hara, John Filippelli, with Steve Anderson to follow, became the guardians of a career that afforded me the opportunities to direct college football at more Saturday cathedrals than I could ever name in these few short minutes. Rose Bowls, Sugar Bowls, NBA Finals, Indy 500s, and magical late summer gatherings at Lamade Stadium in Williamsport, Pennsylvania. In 2000, Howard Katz and Don Ohlmeyer gave me the opportunity of a lifetime. They named me the director of ABC's Monday Night Football. I would actually be the one that would call for a tape to roll, and the next words you would hear would be, "Are you ready for some football?" Just getting to work with the Monday Night Football crew was amazing, and that year marked the beginning of an amazing run. 22 straight years working with the greatest play-by-play man in history, Al Michaels. Now, growing up, I always wanted to be Al, but quickly realized that my love of vegetables and public transportation would make that impossible. Now, more on Alfalfa later. So we got a new producer in 2001, more on him later as well. And we enjoyed a couple years with Dennis Miller, Dan Fouts, Melissa E.D., with Tafoya soon to follow. And that would give way to 4 seasons on Monday Night Football with Al and Coach Madden. Now, John's accomplishments and contributions to the NFL have been well documented, yet his greatest achievement is never mentioned. John is the only coach in NFL history to win a Super Bowl with a starting running back from Colgate University. In 2006, the NFL TV landscape was about to change. I got a call from Sandy Montag telling me that Dick Ebersol's office wanted me to meet Tommy Roy. We met at Orham's Diner in Wilton, Connecticut, where I had a club sandwich and coffee, and TR had a burger and 10 Pepsis. Well, the meeting went well, I guess, so as they say in TV, due to time constraints, we move ahead to further action. So I'm coming to NBC, John's coming, the aforementioned producer, who I'll get to later, is coming, and NBC trades a rabbit for Al, and Sunday Night Football is ready to roll. In the early winter of 2008, Dick called me into his office and asked me if I had ever directed swimming. I said no. He said, perfect. You'll direct swimming at the Summer Games in Beijing. Dan Hicks, Rowdy, Andrea, TR, and our entire production and engineering crew would be treated to the most compelling, exciting, emotional, and historic week in Olympic history. Those memories are preserved forever. Then, in the summer of 2001, when you thought your swim family was complete, along comes Olympian, three-time Olympian and 2011 world champion in the women's 400 IM with a time of 4:31.78, Elizabeth Beisel. And shortly after falling victim to Rowdy's rubber snake on the chair trick, became a dear friend to all of us with a heart and soul big enough to fill her entire home state of Rhode Island. Thanks to Mike Unger and his entire staff, these shows don't happen without you. And finally, thanks to Michael Phelps and Jason Lezak for contributing to these memories. A few years later, Dick asked me if I had ever directed horse racing, and I actually had, and was asked to direct NBC's Triple Crown. A still unnamed producer did 1 year, followed by Rob and now Lindsay, with Amy always close by. A new family formed, and I've enjoyed every second of working with and being around this amazing group of on-air talent, now led by Mike, a production crew and tech ops team that never falls short of perfection. We also provided documentation of 2 Triple Crown winners, American Pharoah in 2015 and Justify in 2018. Now, both Justify and Pharoah were invited to be here tonight, but I'm told both were previously occupied. Yet 2 other studs are here, Mark Payton, and finally, my dear friend, Fred Godelli. Now, Mark is my directing mentor and great friend, as skilled as one can be with a sense of humor to match. 36 years ago, when we were much younger, our relationship was grounded in 2 roots: immaturity and juvenile humor. Thankfully, 36 years later, it's still grounded in 2 roots: immaturity and juvenile humor. If you know, you know. For close to 4 decades, Fred Godelli and I have been joined at the hip. But last summer, Fred had hip replacement, and I became the old hip. And even though we have been surgically separated, the memories of these past 40 years will never vanquish. They will never even fade. And what I miss most during our first fall apart are Fred's calming words of influence like, "Hey man, what are you doing?" Now, Fred and I did find the perfect formula for success. He did 99% of the work, and I got 50% of the credit. My Sunday Night Football crew, past and present, is truly my second family. I always wanted to be Al or an athlete like Chris. And Michelle and I are perfectly aligned on everything to do with the show. And she sincerely is as close a friend as I have, and I love her to pieces. For Mike and Missy, Rob, and all the newcomers to SNF, welcome to the greatest TV family there is, where every Sunday night, close to 200 strong have the same goal, and they will always have your back. To our tech team, headed by, but not exclusive to Ken Goss, Roche, Keith, Joho, and their leads, Wendell and Sully, and all their staffs, and to our ops team, headed by Tim, Vinny, Diana, and their teams, to the production teams past, present, and future, with a special shout-out to Charlie and Junk, thank you from the bottom of my heart. To Laz, Pete, and Sam on the sports side, and Gary, Molly, Becky, Levy, Sheehan, and Jeshu on the Olympic side, thank you. To my college friends and fellow Elizabethians, thanks for being here. To the best camera crew on earth, Thanks for being represented here tonight. I love each and every one of you, with the possible exception of Camera 10, where, even after 36 years and 1,000+ shows, the jury is still out. And lastly, to my golf buddies from Reading, thanks for posting tonight. Here's what I'll do to make it up to you. The next time any one of you have that little 1.5 or 2 footer to beat me in a match, you still have to putt it. And now, for the first time on a Tuesday night, I'm happy to say, open to Rico's mic.